I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is August 30th, 2021, and in this video I'm going to be going over upgrading a new 2021 Asus A17 TUF laptop I recently purchased. I'm going to be installing a new 1TB Samsung 90 Pro NVMe as my main drive. I'll also be installing a 2TB premium inland NVMe second drive. And I'll also be installing a 32GB memory upgrade from the default 16. And doing a fresh install of Windows 10 Pro. Now I'm really excited about this laptop since I have not updated my laptop in 4 years. And I'm very excited to jump ship from Intel to AMD. And this laptop has the AMD Ryzen 7 5800H. Okay, let's get started. Okay, if you're interested in any of the upgrades I'm performing, I have affiliate links in the show notes, so you can go view those. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap out the old NVMe drive for the Samsung 90 Pro 1TB drive. Then install Windows 10 Pro and get that set up. Then after that is done, I'm going to swap out the 16 gigs of memory and put in the 32 gigs of memory I bought, while also installing a second NVMe drive. My second NVMe drive needs to be bigger for my needs, 2 terabytes versus the 1 terabyte for my main drive. However, it does not need to be quite as fast. In fact, if it could be slower than what I actually bought, I'd be fine with it. SSD speeds versus NVMe speeds. But anyway, so I chose the Inland Premium NVMe drive. And let me go over a couple things on that. So, here's a link, and I'll put in the show notes just to the Asus website showing this drive, the A17, not the drive, the laptop. Also, here's a laptop I bought from Micro Center. And there it is right there. I'm really excited because it's got that 5800H AMD Ryzen 7. It's going to be really cool. And here's the main drive I'm doing, the 980 Pro. And you can see right here, I can do a 2 terabyte, but it's $362 versus $250 for the inland. So a little bit of cost savings because I don't really need that second drive to be faster. If I wanted a 2 terabyte main drive, I would have gotten this one because I'd rather get the speed on the main drive. Now, when it comes to inland, if you do choose to go that route, be careful because there's an inland premium. That's what I bought. Now, the big difference between the inland premium and the other models they have for inland, price and also TBW, terabytes written. In other words, how long is this drive going to last based on if you write to it. So if you're writing the same amount of information every single day, this one's going to last longer than the other ones. So this one does 3200 TBW. That's the one I got. And the other one, I'm not sure. I looked at this one. I think it might be different than the one I saw at Micro Center. The one I saw at Micro Center can only do 450. I think this one might be 700. But anyway, 450 or 700 versus 3200, I want the bigger number. I'm willing to spend a little bit more money for that, knowing that I keep my laptops for a long time. So, also, here's the memory I got, which actually has gone down in price. I haven't had time to do this video recently, so I bought this a month or two ago. Prices keep coming down, always changing. But there's my 32 gig G.Skill RipJaws that I got. Okay. With that, there's all the information. Okay, now here we can pause for a second. Now, I did do another video where I did do the Samsung 980 Pro install with a Windows 10 Pro install and get it all set up fresh because I wanted to start fresh. I didn't want anything from Asus. I wanted just to start with nothing on there. I did a video on that, so you can go reference that video, which I'll put a link here. Because I'm not going to redo that right here, putting that drive in and doing all the Windows 10 Pro installs. If you want to do that, want to witness and view that, go look at that video now and then come back here. We're going to skip that step. So for the rest of this video, we're going to go install the next drive, the second drive, the inland, and also the memory, and then also come back, format the drive, and also I also need to come back on the Asus because I'm starting fresh. I did a Windows 10 Pro install, and starting fresh, I don't have the drivers and other things that I need to run some specific things on the Asus hardware. Like for example, this has some really neat light-up keyboards, and you can change the color and things like that. Since I did a fresh Windows 10 Pro install, I can't do that. I need to go to the Asus website and download some of those things and install them, which I will do in this video. Okay, so with that, let's go update the second drive and get the memory installed. Okay, so let's take this apart. So we have 11 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, now you get this bottom off. You start working it from here. Once you get it pried open, Go slowly. And the top's a little funny because it goes down and over and then back up again. So just got, I got one side here, so I just kind of keep jiggling a little bit. There we go. You can see how that is. Okay, we got it off. And now for my other video, where I did, your main drive is right here on this guy. And I'll just show that real quickly. And this has a little heat cover here that I dropped. Ah, there we go. Okay, so I'll just put that back in, but that is from the prior video. And you have this little, looks like a gum wrapper. Goes over it. I'll put that guy back on. Okay, so now let's get the second drive on there. And there's that premium inland. Okay. So in this case, second drive's over here. I do need to get this screw out. Okay, and then all we gotta do is put this in here at an angle. Push it in just a little bit, and there you go.
No heat shield?
Yeah, there's no heat shield on this side. There must just not be. There's more going on over here, I'm guessing. It doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on over here, so I guess we just don't have a heat shield on that guy. Now your memory is right here. You got that side and this side. So all you gotta do is pull these apart if you're not familiar with this. And you'll see they pop up at an angle. So I'll take that guy out, do the same thing here. There's my old 16 gigs. And over here I got my 32. Well, two. These are two 8s, these are two 16s. Some people probably think I manhandle these, but I do. Now you'll see right there, there's a notch. So these can only go one way.
Yeah.
If I try to reverse it, not going to work. That notch only goes one way, so you put it at an angle like that, get it in, and then gently push it down, locks in. I'll do the same thing for their side. We can see there's a notch right there. Go in, lock it in. And there I am. Now I'm good. Now all I gotta do is reverse the process. Slap this guy on. Now before I put the screws in here, I want to kind of gently make sure it's all snapped around. Okay. And then we can put the screws back on. I'm going to go find one of the screws because I shot it off into space, but I think I know where it's at. But we'll get the other guys on real quick. Okay, there we go, almost. I got one more screw that I have to go find, but I'll get that back on. Should be good to go, and then we'll go on to the next step. Okay, so I've booted up my box here, and I need to format my drive. So I can simply go down here and just search for format. Search for format. Create and format hard drive partitions. Click on that. And here we can see disk 1 in this case, 931 gigabytes. That's my main drive that I'm using right now. And I can see over here 1907 gigabytes unallocated. That is my second drive I put in there. So I need to go click on that, right click on that, and I'll just say new simple volume. New simple volume. Hit next, next. Assign it to the letter D is what I want. Hit next. Format with NTFS, And man, what do I want to call it? What do I call my current one? That's a good question. I just call it second drive. Okay. It's like I'm currently calling my first one second drive. Okay. Call it second drive. Perform a quick format. Hit next. Hit finish. Boom. So now that should be there. So now if I open up my PC here, I should see a second drive. There we go. So now that I've installed, I want to do some test. So I've downloaded Crystal Disk Mark. I'll open up one here, and then I will open up a second one, just so I can leave the stats up for both of the drives. So I'll run one at a time. So here I'll choose C, here I'll choose D, and I'll click on all, and we'll let this one run. We'll see what our current speeds are. Okay, so on the top here I got my Samsung 980. On the bottom here I've got my Inland Premium. For my Inland Premium, that's kind of what I expected. So those numbers are pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now with my Samsung, not quite as happy, but I think I'm limited by the hardware that I have. I did go do a quick lookup. The Samsung 980 can in theory do 7,000 megabits per second on the read and 5,100 on the write. And what you see up here, you see 3504 versus the 7,000 and 3512 versus the 5,100. But over here, if I go pull up somebody else's that they've done on their Samsung 980, we see 6,200. So you can see I'm limited by my hardware, so I'm still happy I bought it. But you can see I did not get the bang for my buck. I might as well have gotten another Inland of 1 terabyte premium, and I think I'd have done just fine for this box. So, money well spent? Probably not. Okay, so now on to a couple more tests. So now let me pull up Furmark to test my GPU. And what I've already done is I set the resolution to 1920 by 1080 and go full screen and do a GPU stress test and hit go. Okay, there we go. So now we can see, also it's really important to have your laptop plugged in at this point, because if you're on battery, it'll downgrade so you can save your battery life. So right now we're seeing, average 78, so that's pretty good. So nothing to complain there, and you can see the temperature's going up. Now you don't want to run this test forever because, you could burn. It's not, it's going to run things hot. So there's a little danger in that. But overall good, looking like 78, max 82, not too bad. So hit escape and I'll get out of that. Pretty happy with that. And the next thing I want to do, and this one became interesting because I did a couple of tests on this. If you go to Passmark, you'll see that the 5800 AMD Ryzen 7 5800H has a, their number score of 21,000. So pretty good. I'm pretty stoked about that compared to what I have right now in my old box. So I already downloaded that, and I will go run it right here. Download it. I've already downloaded it. And hit continue on that. Okay. So I'll put this guy here. And I'll run the CPU. So CPU mark, let me go run that. And we'll see where we're at. There we go. So I'm getting 22,000, so expected kind of number. Another nice thing is the single CPU thread, 3090. If I go over here and I look for the single thread, 3107. Okay, looks like I'm good. Now, I did run into a weird thing, so I'll repeat it here and see what happens. And maybe I can fix it in this video, maybe not. If I can, I'll do another video. So now, if I unplug my laptop, so now I'll unplug it, I'm on battery power. Now, by default, everything runs a little slower. And so now if I rerun this, which I will, we'll see these numbers kind of be halved, which is as expected. And that's okay. Okay, there we go. And we see our numbers much lower. Rather than 21,000, I'm seeing 11,000. Single CPU, 2109 versus 3,100 roughly. As expected. Now, but if I plug my power back in, and I'll do that right now, what I would expect is I expect my numbers to go back. So let me go rerun that, and we'll see there's an issue. So I run all the tests. Boom. And look, my numbers are not good. It's as if it's unplugged, even though it's plugged back in. So I'm not sure what the problem is, but to help diagnose it, there could be a couple issues. Let me go through something really quick. If you go down here, right click, go to Task Manager, go to Performance. You may have to go Advanced View so you can see all this. And what you'll probably see here, let's see, change graph to overlay. You'll probably see something like this. If you see that, right click on that, change graph to logical processors, just to prove it can see all the processors. So I have 16 logical processors on here, and I can see I have all 16. I did run a test against that, so that's not the problem. I thought it might not be seeing all the processors. But what I'm thinking right now is just not admitting, even though it does see that it's plugged back in, it's not setting things back to how they should be. Now, I think what may be the cause of that is this is a brand new computer. I did a brand new Windows 10 fresh install on a new drive. So I have not installed all the Asus drivers and software that come with the default, which I'm going to do now. So that's the next step. I'm going to go install those. I think that might fix my issue. If not, I may have to go figure out what really is at issue, because what's going to happen in my life is I'm going to plug this up, plug this in, run it, and at some point the cord's going to get pulled. And when it gets pulled, I don't want my computer running at half speed after I plug it back in. I want it to be back up to speed when it was plugged back in. So that needs to get resolved. Anyway, next step, install Asus specific drivers and software. Okay, now to install some of the custom settings. So I'll put a link in my show notes here, but basically what you need to do is Asus will provide you driver, here's a place you can download drivers and things like that. Now I've done a bunch of experiments, I've gone back and forth on this, and I've seen some issues, I've reinstalled, uninstalled, in between actually the last portion of my video. And I found out I don't really need most of the stuff. But if you do find some issues, you go down here to Drivers and Tools, go to your server type, mine's a QE, and then select the OS, Windows 10. And down here you should see all the different applications you can install: networking, chipset, audio, graphics, pointer, Bluetooth, etc., etc. You can download that, you'll download and install a disk, and you're good to go. Or if you have some problem with a BIOS and firmware, you can do that too. Now I found Windows 10 is pretty good. I think I pretty much am working pretty well. Everything seems to be pretty happy after a bunch of tests back and forth. But one thing I do need is something so I can more easily, so I shouldn't say easily, something so I can adjust the light on my keyboard. The light on my keyboard is kind of neat. I can do some custom things. I can change the color and frequency. And so I found out for my case, even though I think you can use this version 1, for me it was just much easier just to use Armor Crate. So I had to go click on that to expand it, and then go down here to where it says Armor Crate, Creator Installer, and download this guy. So we'll download that guy, and then we'll just install it. Alright, so I'll agree to that, and cancel that. And I'm going to close this out just so I can know where to find it again. So I can go down here and type in Armor. There's Armor Crate. There we go. Okay, so now this is also going to control my settings. So hit cancel. Now I want to do turbo. I kind of want to max it out when I'm normally doing things. And so if I do turbo, that's going to max things out, so I'll get a good CPU score on that. Now if I unplug my power, I should see this thing change to silent. So perfect. And if I plug it back in, I should see me go to turbo. Okay, good. Next thing real quick, I'll go down here and change my keys. So I'll click on device, system I believe. Nope, okay, maybe it's this guy. Click on this guy, oh, yes, there you go. Aurora Sync, click on my server, oh. Select all, I guess, there we go, select all. Go to where I am. Okay, there we go, there's my lighting. So now I can see my lighting on my keyboard, and if I change it to strobing, it's strobing. Change it to static, and I'm not going to show this on the screen, but yeah, now it's static. And I can go click on here, and I can customize my color to something strange, and hit OK. And my keyboard does change. So that's one thing I wanted. So basically out of this I'm going to get two things. One, I can change my keyboard a little more easily, and I can go here and change this. So I'm going to put this over here because this should hold my settings. So now I'm plugged in, but I do have that issue where I plug things in and unplug and it might not be correct. So let me go do a couple of things. Let me go open up this guy again and see where I'm at. Okay. Continue. Okay, so come up here and I'll run the CPU mark. Oh, now let me say no. Before I do that, I want to see where I am. So right click down here, say Task Manager, Performance. Okay, now I see all my CPUs. Okay, so let me run this guy and see where we're at. Because I am plugged in, so in theory I should be on turbo as we see. And I can see the CPUs that are maxing out. Okay, I should get a good score. Well, we know that, so I'm just going to stop it right here. I'm going to unplug it, so now I'm unplugged. So you see it's gone over to silent mode. Click run again, which I'm not going to let it go through the cold completion, but we should see over there, yeah, the CPU, it's not spiking, it's staying about half. Now stop. Now I will plug her back in, and we see it moved over to turbo again. We'll click run. Let's see what happens. I've been having a mixed bag. Sometimes I'm at 100%, sometimes I'm not. Okay, this time I'm not. I am 100%. It looks good. Let me stop this. Unplug it. We go to silent. Plug it back in. And run it again. Now let's see. Nope, now we're looking good. I've seen this intermittent behavior. In some cases I unplug it, plug it back in, like I showed before. I'm kind of like on half speed. Okay, plug it back again and try it. And if that's the case, what I basically found out is if you plug it in and you're not, even though it says you're on turbo and it says you're maxing out and it's not doing that, the simple answer is to unplug it and plug it back in. See, now it's not going to cooperate with me. Now it looks good every time I plug in. Let me unplug it, plug it back in. Well, maybe it has healed itself since then. But even just 20 minutes ago, I did it again, where I unplugged it, plugged it back in, and I did see it go down to a lower level. Well, let me get 2 more tries here to see if I can repeat my experiment. Okay, unplug, and plug. But the short answer is, if you see it having issues, just unplug it and plug it back in. That seemed to solve all my problems. So if all of a sudden you see it not maxing the CPU, unplug it, plug it back in. See, now it's behaving itself, but 15 minutes ago it was not. I unplugged it, plugged it back in, it went down to a lower level. Don't know what to tell you. But one interesting thing, even when I did see it go to a lower level, the Furmark test maxed out. So no matter what I was plugged in on my graphics card, it seemed to do a real good job. So, okay, well, there you go. There's my basic setup. I get everything installed I want. I don't need, for what I'm doing right now, what I found is Armory Crate's good to install because that does some of my settings and it does help me control my lighting. But beyond that, I don't seem to be needing anything, and all my stats look good. So I'm going to leave it at that, and if I find something else, I'll put another video, but I think I'm good. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com. View any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.